taxes in South Africa pay for almost every social service that there is. And at a time like this, with the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdowns and the disruptions to people's savings and well-being, it's even more important that the Revenue Service try their best to collect taxes. I'm joined now by the Commissioner of the Revenue Services, Mr. Edward Kieswetter, to tell us about this innovative, or I should say country-first initiative by the Collection Service to make the revenue tax season collection completely virtual. Mr. Kieswetter, I understand that this is because of the times that we are in, and I find it interesting you mentioned earlier that although we are going through a pandemic right now, tax collections have beat expectations in the first quarter. Can you help us make sense of that?
Well, yes, of course. Let me just say that we come from a period where unfortunately compliance levels have declined and confidence in the Revenue Service have also been eroded. I won't go into the details of that. When we clarified our strategic journey for the 5 years just more than a year ago, there was a huge focus on rethinking our compliance work. And the compliance work is the work that brings in the difference between the revenue that should be collected and the revenue that taxpayers may hand over to us voluntarily. And so we have seen, because of this focus, that even though there was a significant decline in the economy, it is the compliance efforts that have ensured two things. Firstly, that we have seen in the last year a significant increase in additional revenue from compliance, but also a significant reduction in fraudulent refunds. We have seen a year-on-year increase of over 30% of compliance revenue. That trend is continuing. We also are thankfully experiencing a slight improvement in the economic conditions, which is always good. And so the combination of an improved economic climate, but also a more focused compliance program, gives us a fair amount of confidence that the positive result we reported last year, we will continue to build on that. And yesterday we finished the first quarter of this fiscal year, and so we have the number, but subject to just finalizing and auditing that, we will be making that number publicly pretty soon. But you can expect to see a continued positive trend.
That would be quite surprising for many people, given what we've seen with our unemployment numbers and recently released quarterly employment statistics that demonstrate that actually more and more people are leaving formal employment. And so one would imagine that the number of people who are registered as tax provider or professionals or payers has decreased. Is this a trend that you are seeing as well? And is it bolstered or buffered by corporate income taxes?
So a number of dynamics happens. So yes, we are concerned. Every job that is lost erodes the tax base. Every business that closes erodes the tax base. So in the last year, we have seen an increase in the number of jobs that are lost relative to total jobs and the number of businesses that have applied for liquidation or business rescue. Stats SA have shown us an increase from the 30% to more than 32% of unemployment just. And the sad thing there is that a significant component of this are young people. And that's a real concern because that's future taxpayers. So that's one dynamic. Thankfully, we're coming off a base where our compliance activity has added almost 1 million additional taxpayers that were employed but previously not registered. So it is a step up in compliance, and that now brings that revenue into the fiscus. And secondly, we also have seen a number of businesses that have been added to the register. So an increase in the actual register has brought about an overall net increase in the overall tax base. But that does not negate the concern that every job loss and every business that is closed has a negative long-term impact on our tax base. But to my earlier point, when compliance trends have deteriorated as badly as ours has over the last decade, there's a huge upside opportunity that is then a function of the work we do.
Mr. Kieswetter, thank you for your time. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this afternoon, but I am sure you're going to continue this discussion with our team later this evening.